You see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
How's everybody doing? Oh, good to see everybody. It's good to be back home. I think this is a pretty important speaker we have today because it's like wildfire. It's going rampant. The scams, the frauds. I'm sure a lot of you that have cell phones get calls all the time. They put a number on top of a local number so you think it's somebody. They're using artificial intelligence to mimic people. There's been stories of, a girl calling her mom, supposedly saying, I've been kidnapped, wasn't kidnapped. Somehow they got her voice through artificial intelligence, made it sound like it was really her daughter until a couple questions were asked, and then she found out it wasn't her daughter. Anyway, we're having Cyndie Carioli in from the District Attorney's Office. That's Stephen Zappala's office. And she's going to give us a master class on how to avoid frauds and scams. Masterclass. So I'm going to let her take it away. She's got a lot of information. She's got a lot of goodies, so help yourself over there afterwards. There's a lot of good information. Okay? It's all yours, Cyndie.
Okay, so the gentleman who gave this to me, you need to sit up front. I've never done, oh, there we go. Can you hear me? What do you think? Can you hear me well enough? Oh my gosh. You know, old people and new devices. Do you hear me? Okay. So, I'm Cyndie Carioli. I work at the Allegheny County District Attorney's Office. Can you hear me back there, Tommy? All right. All right. Many of you may know that within the District Attorney's Office, there are a lot of different units. You know, you see those TV shows, Special Victims Units, SVU, right? Well, most District Attorney's offices have those, and in Allegheny County, we also have those. One of the Special Victims Units is the Elder Abuse Unit, and that's where I work. And this is a lot of people who work specifically for issues around elder abuse. Anybody over the age of 60, which is probably all of us, right, in this room. So I'm talking about special prosecutors, special judges. We work closely with the Center for Victims, with protective services, with the police departments, to support victims of elder abuse, all the different elder abuses. So today, I'm here, I can talk about any of those, and if you have questions, ask them. But I'm really focusing today on financial abuse, scamming, fraud, people trying to take our hard-earned money, trying to bamboozle us, take advantage of us. And, you know, like Mark said, it is like the Wild Wild West right now. I wish I could tell you in the last few years that it's getting better, but it's not. And so there are some of us in this Special Victims Unit, in addition to the cases we have, go and try to go out into the community around the county to try to prevent all of us from becoming victims. So that's kind of why I'm here. What I want to tell you, and I'll repeat it, is that we have the power. It can be overwhelming, all these different scams. There's 10 every day. I mean, how do you keep up with all that? And I think a lot of people find it overwhelming on our phones, text messages, emails. Don't get me started on Facebook. And even the mail we get can be manipulated. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And I promise you, if you do a few of these things I'm telling you to do, you will avoid becoming a victim, and I don't care what the next scam is. How about that? Okay? All right. So let me take a sip. Cheers. I guess I don't have to yell as much when I have this microphone. I'm used to yelling. I'm used to speaking loud. Okay, so let's start with some things that we need to look out for with our phones. How many of you have a mobile phone? Everybody, right? How many still have the landline? Good, yeah, okay, all right. So this goes for both of those. But I'm going to tell you the most important thing I'm going to tell you is this particular thing right here and now. Hear me out. The best way to avoid becoming a victim of phone scamming and fraud is to stop answering your phone. You're laughing, but I'm serious. We need to stop, and I know this is hard. Our generation, I remember party lines. Do you remember party lines? Oh, yeah. We didn't have answering machines. We would kill ourselves to get to the phone. But now it's different, like so many other things. But it's different. And here's what I'm going to tell you. You need to stop answering your phone unless the number is programmed in, right? You know how to, your contacts, all right? And I'm just speaking personally. We have these devices. We don't all know how to use every part of those devices, am I right? I mean, and sometimes we don't know what we don't know. But you need to learn somehow how to program numbers. It's easy to do once you know how to do it. Program numbers that are important to you into your phone. And when they're programmed into your phone, answer all you want. You put them there. You know they're legit. You put them there. And so you can answer those. Here's my joke of the day. If you don't know how to program numbers into your phone, and this goes for blocking, which I'll talk about later, ask your 4-year-old granddaughter. And some of the libraries do it. You can help each other, but it's really important. And then those numbers you answer, and if that number that rings on your phone is not in your contacts, let it go to voicemail. Voicemail is our friend. Your answering machine is your friend. These criminals, they're criminals. If they can't talk to us, they can't contact us, they can't scam us. And that's the bottom line. Let it go to voicemail. Now you've got a buffer. You've got some space between you and that person that's may try to take advantage of you. Even if it's a legitimate call, no matter how terrible the message is, it can wait 2 minutes for it to go to voicemail. You have time to listen. You have time to think. These people catch us off guard. That's their ammo. That's what they hope to do, to scare us or pressure us or say something that will alarm us or make us forget who they are. When you let it go to voicemail, you have time to think. And here's the other big lesson. It now is you're listening, this message, you're not sure, maybe it's, your Social Security card's been compromised. We want to send you a new Medicare card. It could be, the Sewickley Police Department, we're just collecting, right? Whatever the message is, maybe it's a scam, maybe it's not. But what I'm imploring you to do is never call the number they give you. This is where we fall into trouble. No, you're going to look up the number. You're going to look up the number for UPMC or Duquesne Light or whatever it is on that message. Medicare, you got a card, look it up. And you're going to say, hey, did you just leave me a message? 99% of the time, they're going to say, nope, wasn't us. Don't call the number they give you. It's really important. If you do just those two things, not answer your phone unless you recognize the contact, and then look up the number if you're interested in whatever the message is, you are going to be 90% safe from becoming a victim. Just those two things. Thank you for asking.
How do they get our number?
Okay, how do they get our numbers in the first place? If I had a prize, I would give it to you. Actually, I do have a little prize. There's these for everybody, but there you go. I encourage you to ask questions while I'm talking because I could talk all day about this stuff. Do you have the hook? You may need it. But your questions are great because other people have them also, and it'll help me remember that I need to say that. How do they get our number? Here's one thing you may or may not know. You know those robocalls? You pick up the phone, there's nobody there. Or it goes to voicemail, there's no voicemail. They're being right from who knows where, just a bunch of computers just dialing numbers. And those calls have one purpose. They're to find out if that's a legitimate number. Is that a real number? And the next thing they want to know is someone going to answer that call? Guess what happens when you answer? Our phone numbers are now sold to all the criminals in the world. First of all, everybody has our number. Those days of having a private number, right? We used to pay for that. Have it not listed, No, those days are over. Any one of us can get any of the others' phone numbers. Phone numbers are everywhere. But what people don't know about every time you answer your phone, and it's a robocall or a criminal calling, those phone numbers, just selling our phone numbers is a $1 billion business. So if you're answering your phone, you're just going to get more. And if you already get a whole bunch of these, I won't point fingers, but I can tell you, you're answering your phone too much.
Okay, so you don't answer the phone. Your voicemail will answer the phone.
Yeah, it's different. The criminals can't do anything to you on voicemail. They want to talk to you.
But if you have a message on your phone that says, call me back, whatever, or whatever, it's being answered.
You're not, no, you're not getting what I'm saying. That isn't important to criminals. I'm telling you that when you answer your phone, they love it. And there's time, and we'll get into this a little bit, but do you ever answer your phone and you hear like a click, click? So the robocall then is kind of transferred. That's what I'm talking about. Like they have these huge networks. And I'm not tech, so I can't tell you exactly how it works, but I know from the FTC and the information we have that these numbers are being sold. And that the best way to stay safe is to not answer. Answering machines are a different story. But I will tell you that the statistics with people who have been victimized are more likely to be victimized again, because now their numbers are everywhere and the criminals love them. They love us. And some people say, I knew it was a scam. They said, you know, it was my grandson, and I don't even have a grandson. So they play with them. You know, if that floats your boat, then, you know, have some fun. I know a woman who would blow a whistle into the phone. And people have, you know, had some very funny stories about, you know, playing with it. But these are criminals. I would suggest you find something better for entertainment, because they will sell your number and keep calling you. So the other part, go ahead.
Every day I get a call that says it's from Carnegie. I know it's a scam. I can let it ring 6 times and it goes to the answering service, or I can just pick up the phone and hang.
I wouldn't. But is that on your home phone or your mobile phone? Landline, yeah. I would say just, you know, can you adjust your rings to 2? You know, you can just do 2 rings if it's a bother that it's going so far before it goes to voicemail. But somebody yelled block it, and yeah, so
Block the number.
great. And here's what will happen. Blocking is great, so you get that. And here's the other thing he said that is interesting to me. Another thing that I hope you know, but if you don't, he said he knows it's a scam, and it says it's coming from Carnegie. You know how we can see our caller ID? Guess what? It is not real. It's called spoofing, right? They fake the phone number. Now, if you don't know any better, you look and you think, oh, that's a 412 number, it must be local, right? It says Carnegie, it must be, you know, it must. And the truth of it is that you don't know where that call's coming from. It could say 412, and that criminal is in another country. We can look on our caller ID, and it says UPMC. Or it could say Medicare. Right there, it spells it out, the word Medicare. Or Social Security Administration. You see it right there. If you don't know any better, you're going to think that's who it is. And it's not. Spoofing is evil. And it's easy to spoof. And so that's why I tell you, go to voicemail, because you don't know what that number is coming in. If it's not in your contacts, it could be from anywhere. So we suggest that you come on in and have a seat. Suggest that I'm talking about scamming and fraud, that you let it go to voicemail, and then don't believe necessarily your caller ID. Now, there are protections coming. There was a new robocall law in 2020, right? And it increased the protections for everyone with all these kind of scams and all. What year is it now?
2020.
Yeah. And it's still going on. And I said before, don't hold your breath, and don't hold your breath now. But to their credit, the law has helped. And the cavalry is on its way. It's not here yet, but we do have protections. How many of you have seen scam likely or spam likely on your phones, right? Or your TV, if you have. Those are the beginning of the protections. They're telling you, don't answer this. It's a scam. Don't do it. It's right there. It's telling you. And so many of the newer phones have other things that kind of block different things, and people tell me, you know, there's a little check mark. It'll say, you know, the phone number's been checked, something like that. So different phones have different, you know, stuff, and it's getting better and better. But we believe, most people believe, that the phone companies can do more, and they should do more to protect us. And the technology already exists for them to intercede those spoofing calls. And so I think it's called, oh, I'm not going to remember. It's an acronym, Stir Shaken. It almost sounds like a James Bond movie, right? But the technology exists, and that's going to be a game changer when we no longer have to worry that the call coming in isn't what it appears to be. Go ahead.
When we see scam like this, should we then go in and block that call?
Yeah, absolutely. You can always unblock. But I was going to say, you get this voicemail like this gentleman, and sometimes you get it like every day, or you've gotten repeated ones. You block it. Don't be surprised when the next day or even that day you get the exact same message from a different phone number, because that's what they do. They have unlimited numbers, and they keep using it. But guess who has the power? Block, 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 and they are going to be tired and move on to somebody else.
I think a lot of us have UPMC doctors, and you get a call before your appointment to remind you of the appointment. Now, if someone is scamming you from UPMC, how do you block them?
Well, actually, that actually happened. I had a call, this is not actually that, but maybe a year or so ago, and a woman said, I just got a call, and it was just that, because they're calling you, you have your doctor's numbers in your phone, but sometimes when the doctor returns a call, or like the hospital's calling to set up your surgery, they don't call till the day before, right, to tell you what time, what day, all of that. And they may call from a number you don't recognize. It's not, it's still better, even if you're expecting that call. I've had this happen many times. Let it go to voicemail. That you will hear, this is your doctor, this is UPMC, this is the, St. Clair, whatever you're going to hospital, and we want to give you information about your appointment date, or they'll just leave it on the voicemail. And so, again, stay protected, because this woman called me and said, I was going to have my surgery. It said right on it said UPMC. She answered it, and they had her name, but they said, they didn't say anything about the surgery, but they said they wanted to verify her information. They want to clarify their information. Don't fall for it. And it wasn't. And she said only then did it occur to her, and she hung up, and she was frantic. She called me. And you will all have my phone number, by the way, when you leave here, a direct link to the DA's office. So, if something comes up and you're not sure about it, please call. That's kind of what we do. We want to prevent these things from happening. She said, how did they know I had surgery coming? I said, they didn't. It was cool. If you make enough phone calls saying you're from UPMC, somebody it's going to match. And we try to make sense of it. That's what we do. So they have the upper hand because they are really, really good at what they do. They're getting better. I was in Findlay Township this past week, and the police department, sometimes we do things together with the police departments, and we work very closely with Swickley, by the way. And the officer said they feel that the police department, like the criminals, are always 10 steps ahead of them. So it's hard to find these people. They're in other countries, but it doesn't matter where they are. We're going to keep some distance between us and them. That's the key. With phone messages, if they ask you for any personal information, red flag, right? You know that. If they pressure you, right? You have to act now, and sometimes it's not all, usually drama. This has happened to this account, that account, but sometimes they want to give you money. Or they say you overpaid and we want to give you a refund. And don't get me started on, your computer's, been, right. So, it's always something that really gets our interest, and they're very good. And then all of a sudden, they're our helpers. They're going to help us. And And, you know, it's heartbreaking, the cases that we have. And what we know is that in Allegheny County, we are being targeted. And I know this because the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, that's the federal bureau that investigates and prosecutes on a federal level, they do a report every year. And they break it down by county, all the way across the United States. We have sometimes 10 times these kinds of calls than any other county surrounding us. We have more than Philadelphia County, which is like 3 times bigger or 4 times bigger than us. Beaver County, right? All the Butler County, they're targeting us. Why? Why Allegheny County? Yeah, we're a bunch of us. It's a lot of us. Go ahead.
I have one question. There are so many ways to try and scam you today, and it seems like they prey on widows, elderly widows, and even a credit card. If they end up giving you money, are they just legally out of that?
So the question is, the comment is that it seems like they're preying on older widows, older women. We do have the statistics in Allegheny County and nationwide that the older we are, the more times we fall. That's true. In the 70, I just got data from Allegheny County this week, and it seems like the 80 to 89-year-olds have the most times when people are victimized. 70 to 79 is next high and very high, and then it goes down with age. And the next question is, what was the next question?
If they actually do get
Oh, if you're victimized, do you get your money back? And the answer is most often, yes. That's what we do. I mean, that's why you call, if something happens to you and you lose money, you need to call the police immediately. You call your local police, we get involved, there's an investigation, and depending on the situation, even if that scammer is in another country, we may not find them. But the key is to support the victim. And that's what we do in our Special Victims Unit. We support victims. That's our total goal. Because if you prosecute any kind of elder abuse, come through the criminal justice system, it's not easy. And so we support that victim all the way through. And let me just answer his question about do we get the money back. That's the goal. If you use, don't forget that question. If you have used gift cards or crypto or any of that kind of stuff, or then it's practically impossible for us to get that money back. So my next red flag is anything to do with gift cards. Somebody wants you to pay with gift cards or buy gift cards or send them gift cards. Don't do it. Go ahead.
My question is stupid.
No stupid questions.
What if a person does something so stupid as to put $50,000 in a briefcase and give it to somebody?
Okay, so you put $50,000, and you know what? Let me just tell you, I don't think that's stupid. I don't, because I know, I have no judges that have been scammed. I know prosecutors and attorneys, very smart people, have done things like this. You would say that could never happen to me, and I hope you're right, but I believe that under the right circumstances, any one of us, including me, could become a victim. That's how good they are. So something compelled somebody with enough money to put it in a suitcase and give it. And it sounds like extortion, something like that. I don't know what would compel somebody to do that, but I know people have because they're desperate. And can we get that kind of money back? I'm not sure. It depends on where they took it out of their bank account. I mean, it's obviously case by case. But people have done what some of us might consider stupid. And that's my worry. Don't think of it as stupid. This is not your fault. You're a victim. It's not your fault. Somebody has taken advantage of you. And my worry is that kind of thinking keeps people from reporting. We know, as bad as this is, it's only the tip of the iceberg. We have cases and cases and cases, but we know it's only a fraction because people don't report for lots of very complicated reasons, for all kinds of elder abuse, not just the scamming. But people are embarrassed. They don't want their kids to know. It's real. Yeah, go ahead.
Without telling us any secrets, how do you find these people?
Well, I don't have any secrets to tell. I'm not involved in that part, but people report, and then we get as much information as we can. And the people say, here's their phone number, here's their name. Yeah, well, people really, they want them caught. Unfortunately, we need more than that. We have, though, in Allegheny County, caught, and surrounding counties, we do, go after these people, and sometimes we catch them and we jail them. We prosecute them. And I know that we're a couple guys from Bethel Park we caught doing the grandparent scam. So that grandparent scam, by the way, has had traction in Pittsburgh, in the Pittsburgh area for 20 years. That's how old that scam is. But it's gotten worse. And Mark mentioned with AI, just don't get me started. It's just evil. If you can imagine that you answer a phone and you hear the voice of your granddaughter yelling, oh my God, it's evil. And so it's easy to understand why somebody, but now we know about that. So no matter what the grandparent scam is, or the nephew or the niece or whatever, we know that we're not gonna fall for that.
I have a question, a statement. My question is, we're witnessing a trial in Athens, Georgia, prosecutor and so forth, and they're...
Oh, you need a microphone. Well, do you have another? Yeah, use a mic. There you go. Thank you.
Testing.
No, it's good. Yeah.
We're witnessing a situation where they're pinging the cell phones and so forth, and so they know exactly where we are, basically, or at least within a cell. Doesn't the technology exist that they could tell there's these call centers like in Nigeria and India and everything, big call centers, I understand. Don't they know when these are coming out in trunk lines to us and so forth, or no?
So you're asking a question I don't have the answer to.
Okay.
That's way beyond my understanding. Let's break it down. You're talking pinging and cell towers and all. Let's break it down to stuff we understand. We have settings on our phone. How many of us, I'm not going to ask for hands, know how to set? We can set for, we can block, we can change some of that, right? They're talking about, Temu and all of that, following us. I don't understand how all that works, but right now, we all need to be careful. And don't trust, and we are a trusting generation, we are a kind generation. Don't trust people calling you. Strangers, your mother told you don't talk to strangers. It still applies. Yeah, there was one here, and then we'll go here. Not how much we recovered. There are statistics about how much it was lost, but I don't have that, no.
I'll tell you the one that we're getting periodically.
Okay.
Don't touch your computer.
Don't touch your computer. Right.
Call this number.
Yeah.
And walk it. Okay, and my wife shows you how to do that, to turn the computer off.
Good.
You have to turn the computer off and it's
That's right.
not on it. What the hell are these people?
Well, I don't know. And, how are they giving us those messages? They're pop-ups. And again, I'm not a tech person. My husband was a tech person, but I'm not a tech person. I think I'm pretty smart, but there is so much. I don't have a clue. But I was just with a state senator yesterday. She's much younger than us. She told a story about how that happened to her. And she freaked out. And the next thing you know, I just had to cover my ears. She let the person take her computer over because they're helping you. Or, there's the Geek Squad scam. Older people have Geek Squad. They're a great service. But the scam isn't a great service. And so if you happen to have Geek Squad and they contact you and you're not paying attention, it's not really them, and then the next thing you know, you're handing over your computer. It takes seconds. I have cases where people let somebody take their computer over that wasn't the real person that they thought it was. In seconds, their savings account was depleted. Within seconds. Not to mention everything else on your computer that they can lift, including our passwords and everything else. So, but we know better, right? And we're talking about phones, and I really need to get to text messages. I want to get to emails and our mail. So let me move on, continue to ask questions, but we may have to wait till the end for some of them, okay? Let's go to text messaging. How many of you get text? Okay. Please. It's the same rule applies. That text message is coming from somewhere. Do you ever look? Do you notice? This goes for emails too. Every email you get, you should be looking at the address it comes. Get in a good habit. Look at the address it's coming from. It may look just like all the emails that you are familiar with. Don't care because they're getting better and making it look just so legit. Look at the address that email is coming from and look at the contact that text message is coming from. If it isn't programmed in your phone, and you can, there's email text as well, but if you don't know when you look at where it's coming from, please just delete it, block it. They're links. They take you somewhere else. Most of the I got one, check this out. Here's a picture of us from 1967. Well, now that might mean a lot, something different to every one of us if we got that. 67 might mean something to you. That's the year I graduated from high school, Ambridge High, by the way. I was born at Swickley Hospital. And for a split second, I almost did exactly what I know not to do. I blocked it. They are so clever. Look at this. This is so funny. You got to see this. That's all it says. Or it says nothing. It's just a link. And maybe you see something that makes you think in the link address that, it's interesting. Don't do it. Right? Anybody, you know that, right? Just don't click on text messages at all unless that number is familiar to you. Okay? Okay. That was easy. How about emails? How many of you are sick of Camp Lejeune? Or Oprah, or I don't know. Sometimes I go home and I've got 10 of the same exact. It's all, yeah. Do you know how to report and block on your email? You should. It's real easy to report on most of them, and a lot of us have Gmail, but all of them, Yahoo and Comcast and Verizon and, Hotmail, all of them, everybody has a place, usually it's at the top, where you can very simply click on the side of the email and block, report. You can do that. Do it. But, the same thing applies with email as it does with phones. You block it, and you get 10 more, but they're all from different addresses, because they do that. But you want to be smart. But, sometimes, we're in a hurry, and this senator, she was in a hurry. She was multitasking when she let that person take over her computer. It can happen to any of us. So, emails, look at the address. If the address is legit, fine. But if it's not, even unblock on a fraudulent email can get you in trouble. It's a link. Anything to underline, you know what the links look like, right? They're blue, any of that. Do not click here. The equivalent of don't answer your phone on emails is don't click here. Don't. Right? Go ahead.
I think one of the most scariest things is we're online today. I see, and it's scary because it's like that, UPS, FedEx, now,
Yes. And who doesn't? I mean,
catch you at time when they say, we left the package and nobody was there to pick this stuff.
I have several cases right now. And during the holidays, right? And people didn't order anything, but maybe they were getting a gift. They didn't know. But the UPS scams, FedEx scams, the package, we call them the package scams. They're rough, but what did I tell you? If you get that message that there's a package for you, do you call the number they give you? Heck no. No. You're going to call UPS. You're going to call your post office, USPS. You're going to call FedEx and say, hey, do you have a package for me? They're going to tell you no. And, Medicare is another, Medicare scams, I've got information up here. We didn't talk about data breaches, which is very different than scams, but we just need to slow it down, think, remember that every single message we get could be a scam. And that'll kind of help us then decide what our next steps are going to be. Go ahead.
You're very correct on looking up at the email address.
Yeah.
I've got those FedEx and UPS. You have a packet waiting. We need more. You can go right up there and email.
Exactly. A bunch of letters and symbols.
There's no way.
That's right. There's no way.
There's no UPS or FedEx in there.
No, and it's not from Amazon.com. It's from Joe Schmo at Gmail or something, right? Or a bunch of symbols, and then, or sometimes it'll say, USPS, but one letter will be wrong. Again, we're in a hurry. That looks okay. We're done. Who else? Yeah.
Most of us identify scams and usually don't fall for them. Do you want those reported?
Well, you don't report to me. But you would. I think it's good to report to the FTC, and there's information on this table. There's a lot of stuff up here, but let me just tell you, if you don't want to take a bunch of stuff, at least take the yellow sheet and the gold sheet. And on the gold sheet, there's information about how to report. You can do it online. It's very easy. You can call. For those of us who don't like to do stuff online. This yellow sheet is everything I'm talking about today. But yeah, I think what the FTC uses that information as they then decide who they're going after and what they're doing. And it helps us all when we get that information to alert others. And that's why you see it on the news. You know, every night, another different scam. We need to get the word out. That's why I'm here. We're trying to prevent, and we need to share this information. You know, you guys are here, you're understanding it, but maybe your friends and your family don't. So please share this information. We have to protect each other. We work together to remind people. You know, bring it up at your card shop, you know, club, or your poker, or your wine tasting. You can invite me to that wine tasting, but I could speak at a wine tasting. Easy. Go ahead.
One thing that's happening, and I think we're sailing in a very dangerous water, there's a global movement to go to digital currency. What do you guys, I mean, there's a great book called War on Cash. A lot of places you go now will not take cash.
Tell me about it.
For small payments and so forth. I turn around and go,
Thank you. Don't you sometimes feel like the world is leaving us behind? I mean, with all this technology, and many of us trying to resist it, to your point, where, you know, this global, you know, Zelle and, you know, Venmo and all these things where, you know, you're exchanging money, or we're using different currencies that we don't understand.
that's just more opportunity for
I think it can be. Here's the bottom line. Do you know what you're doing? Heck no. I mean, you think you do, and maybe you do. I mean, Bitcoin, you know, I have friends who no, I mean, I protest restaurants that I go to, and they don't have a menu, and they want me to use the little, you know, we need to protest that. Now, I'm walking out. You don't have a menu to hand me, I'm leaving. And I know how to do it, but I don't want to do it.
The new one, Cyndie, they're adding the credit card fee.
Yeah,
Yeah, I take that out of the bottom line.
the tip.
Once you put a number on that bottom line, it's not.
That's it, it's gone.
Not do anything.
Yeah.
Or it's fraud,
Yeah.
and they know that.
So he's talking about the extra fees they show us. Go ahead.
Okay, here's the last question on this.
No.
All right, what I'm noticing on the news constantly, so-and-so gets arrested 15 times now, and he's let out.
Yeah, that's another story.
What the heck is going on?
Well, that is another story.
I mean, you know, it's everywhere.
It is everywhere, and I don't get it. I think those of us who are older wonder about all that. And that has nothing to do with the DA's office or the, you know, for me and scamming and fraud, but I would so totally agree with that. I know it's complicated, so I'm not going to try, but what I want to say is the other thing we didn't talk about is your mail. It's IRS season, and be aware. Last year, I was overwhelmed with IRS scams, and guess how they came? In the mail. That's how Social Security contacts us. That's how Medicare contacts us. IRS contacts us by sending us a letter. Well, guess what? People were getting, and I'm telling you, these letters look legit. My husband worked for Social Security 48 years. I know what a Social Security letter looks like. And I could not tell the difference between some of these letters people were getting. But the IRS letter last year said, there's been a tax return filed in your name and Social Security number. What? I mean, you know, you're like, what is that? But what did I tell you about? Call this number right away. Contact us. Are you going to contact them? Thank you. You're gonna look up the number for IRS, but you know what? And you know, the one woman agreed. I mean, she said she didn't file a tax return, period. And so that, you know, she was scared that she was a victim of identity theft, and she called them. And when I talked to her, she said, but they said she said, they had my name and social security number. And I said, was it anywhere on the letter? And she looked. They said they had it, but it wasn't on the letter. And so when she called them, they had to verify, and now we are dealing with identity theft. And I'll tell you, if it's ever happened to you, it's a nightmare. It takes years sometimes to recover from that. I have great information how to check your credit report, or if in fact you've become a victim in any way, or you think you may have, how to put an alert on your credit. It's a great thing to do. I have information on scamming, fraud, phone, funeral, whatever. Take a notepad, and then I'll stay for questions, but I know, I mean, somebody didn't get the hook. It's time. Go ahead, last question.
I just want to ask one thing. You touched earlier on the health software, but it's been slowed down.
I'll repeat it.
It's been slowed down. Is that because our legislative and if so, what do we do?
That's a good question.
Tell students.
Yeah. So the question is, I talked about the cavalry's coming. So what could speed that up? What could we do as individuals, citizens, to speed that up? Is that a legislative issue? And part of it is, I think we don't complain and we don't report enough. But I think it's important to tell our legislators that this is important. And I know there are some Pennsylvania legislators, in Moon is I think one, that they're working, they have, nonpartisan working on trying to increase the protections. We need to ask for more protections. And I can tell you that in Allegheny County, our DA is a part of other, they get together all the DAs in this state, right? And they're working on additional protections through the Pennsylvania Supreme Court for older adults. And Steve Zappala happens to chair that committee. Keep telling the people, who work for us what's important to us. And seniors have power in Allegheny County. We really do. And, I think the statistic I saw was that in a couple years, it's going to be like a fourth of the population, or half of the population. I mean, that'll be over 60. So we have power. So, keep speaking up for that. And I will stay and answer any other questions, but I feel like I got to kind of turn you loose. Please take whatever's on the table, and thank you so much for having me. What? I have 5 more minutes. Okay, go for it. And I'm happy. I'll stay all day. I don't have anything else to do. I do have a pickleball game later, but other than that.
I think one thing that legislators should do is to legislate the amount of information a hospital accrues on a patient, because that becomes, I know of situations where that occurred and it was hacked.
There was a breach.
They used hospital information to be able to...
So the comment is hospitals have so much information on us, and maybe there should be legislation to reduce that. I don't know. I mean, I have my own opinions about that. You guys could talk. It would be a good topic. But breaches I didn't talk about, but I have information up here. The county, Allegheny County was breached last year. That means that some of our information, any of us who worked with the county, and at first we thought it was just county employees, but it was actually any kind of county affiliation. If you had a gun license, if you had a dog license, if your information could have been breached. Medicare had a breach last year. So that stuff is out there and it happens, which makes us need to be even more careful. And we have the power to stay safe. And we need to do it. Just do what I'm telling you to do. And I promise that it'll be somebody else that'll be a victim, not you.